Welcome, everyone, to the SoCal Car Scene Podcast, the exclusive place for coverage of car culture in Southern California and the personalities that drive it. I'm your host, Dean Marash. Please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel so you never miss a show. Joining us today is Aimee Shackelford, or as many of you may know her, the Petrol Girl. But first, we need to let you know that this podcast is brought to you by our good friends at SoCal Classic Car Storage and C-Tech. Also, we want to let you know that we're now on Patreon. Patreon is a great website that supports independent podcasts like the SoCal Car Scene by helping them with fundraising via subscriptions. If you're an avid listener of these episodes, we know you are, we humbly ask you to consider being a premier member to our show. In exchange for your support, you'll have access to episodes one day before they premiere, and you get to see extended interviews from our guests like Aimee, not to mention outtakes where your host screws up. That's me, by the way. Sign up today at patreon.com/the SoCal Car Scene or click on the link in the description. Without further ado, let me introduce you to our very, very special guest, Aimee Shackelford. Aimee comes from a family that bleeds motor oil. Her great uncles, the Famighetti brothers, built sprint midget race cars for Parnelli Jones, Rajo Jack, Heath, and many, many others. Aimee's forged her own successful career in the car world, capitalizing on her sales and marketing experience when she first joined Luxury for Play, a forum dedicated to the luxury lifestyle. She launched a successful social marketing company in 2012, Social Bowl. Her resume includes the successful Monterey Car Week program, Exotics on Broadway, and Gear One Agency, a marketing agency specializing in all things automotive. Outside of business, you may run into her at cruises like the Fuel Run and the Gold Rush Rally, which she produces. Yet her biggest presence is in the digital world, something I don't understand, where she is known to everyone, especially 112,000 followers, as the Petrol Girl. Aimee, thanks so much for joining us on the SoCal Car Scene Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, listen, the first thing I need to ask you, of course, is where did the name Petrol Girl come from? I mean, everybody's asking.
So luxury4play.com, which is an automotive and luxury forum. I always have to tell people that because the name sounds a little edgy. Somebody on there just started calling me Petrol Girl. I think they were from UK, and they just nicknamed me that because all I talked about was cars on there. The forum was mostly cars, but it had other things like watches, travel, and I just always only posted about cars. So that's where that nickname came from.
Well, it makes sense that it came from the UK because none of us over here on this side of the pond say petrol, right? But
none of us say that.
but it's perfect. You know, it flows. It's got a ring. We love it. We understand what it's all about. You're quite the social media powerhouse. Any tips or recommendations for us knuckle draggers like myself that barely understand the difference between a follow, a subscribe, and a like? Any advice? Or
I mean, for me, I'm all about organic and grassroots and just be yourself. Like, you don't have to go out of your way to put a bunch of fake stuff so you can gain followers. I prefer the organic growth, just being me, showing what I love. Mostly cars. Sometimes I'll throw an animal picture in there or something else that I love, but whatever it is you're trying to focus on, make the post about that and just keep it real. Use your own stuff. A lot of people post other people's stuff.
But don't use other people's stuff, because I see a lot of people use that because they're, they don't have enough content, or we all started there. We're like, okay, I got to borrow, so I got to go get some content. Yeah. And that really doesn't help you that much, does it?
No, and I mean, an example, we just finished Gold Rush Rally and I posted my own stuff. I did post our photographer's stuff, but it's still related to what we're doing. I think for a long time, people were posting other people's stuff to help grow their accounts. And I feel with the new algorithm, Instagram's really wanting people to be themselves again and post about themselves.
Which is great. Absolutely great. I remember on Facebook, that's where everybody started, at least I did. And I was like, gosh, it's hard to figure out what to come up with that's compelling, whether it's photographs or video. And when you first start out, you're really struggling, and it sounds like you've hit your stride, and now you've got this great presence. And So, we need people like you to help encourage us, especially people like ourselves that are kind of in our infancy.
I mean, Facebook has its own, niches now that are really popular, and that's Facebook groups. I tell people get involved in the groups. They're very active. It's like forums pretty much. It's the same concept as forums. So a lot of businesses and people are in those groups now utilizing them. Facebook pages, though, is tough. Personal pages, my personal Facebook, they max you out at 5,000. But you can get subscribers on my personal Facebook page. Does great because there's no algorithm on it. It's my personal page. It's tough with the business pages.
So interesting. So what you found is that it's easier to kind of grow your business in some ways on your personal page than on your business Facebook page. Did I get it right?
Yeah, for me, that it's been extremely successful. Obviously, Facebook ads are great. You just really got to know how to work with them to make them
Right.
work right. Facebook ads work the best for local businesses, in my opinion.
So when you launched your business Social Bolt back in 2012, I mean, did you feel like you were cutting edge? Was social media in its infancy? I mean, back then, I know I ran a business. I led a marketing team, and we had one or two people in the social media department, but it was kind of burgeoning, and we're like, is this making a difference? Is it awareness marketing? Is it generating leads? What's going on over in that little cave over there? We didn't really understand what the heck we were doing, but everybody had to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, in the beginning, it wasn't so complicated. There was no way to tell, what was coming from where the sales were coming from. I had luxuryforeplay.com. I was handling their sales and marketing, and that's when Facebook kind of started. And I made a Facebook page for us immediately. And it just grew quick. I mean, we were posting stuff on there that people don't have access to. It's a 1% of the 1%. So here I am posting, Ferrari Enzo or, a $20 million house walking through it. So the Facebook page grew quick because we were posting content that people didn't have access to. So that page grew, and we used it almost immediately to market the forum.
And I think that's really what's compelling about your page on Petrol Girl, at least on Instagram, is that it gives people access to whether it's a lifestyle, whether it's places, whether it's cars that in their day-to-day walk they just don't have. And people ask me all the time, well, what's the benefit of Supercar Blondie? And for me, Supercar Blondie brings me to a world I don't even get close to. And I appreciate somebody exposing me to something so amazing and so out of touch for me. That's what I like about it. And I feel like you're doing somewhat the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, definitely somewhat. She's more focused on which she's doing great at it, making money for herself through her YouTube channels and stuff. For me, I'm more about my business and marketing,
Right.
focusing on my clients. And I think I have a wider knowledge of the car world. Like, I definitely focus on luxury, but now the past 2 or 3 years, we've been branching out to other car brands like Toyota. We got a Toyota Corolla hatchback, and we got that because
Nice.
I want to be a part of that market.
Nice.
And it's helped us get business from new clients that we were only getting, luxury and exotic car companies before. Now we're working with brands like Toyota and, brands like that we weren't used to working with before. So I'm glad that we broadened our horizon a little bit.
That's great.
We'll talk more about your car collection. We definitely want to get into that because there's nothing like a Toyota Corolla hatchback or some of those other cars that you've got in your garage. So, take us back a little bit to your childhood, your car childhood, I guess, if you will. It looks like there's just a tremendous history of cars in your family and people building cars and wrenching on cars and maybe racing cars, but kind of give us the 411 on that. I'm always curious about how people get into this car scene.
To be fair, it was my grandfather and my great uncles that were into the racing world, and I didn't get into racing until recent, but They built sprint midget race cars in San Pedro, California, which is where I still live. My son is the 5th generation in this town, which is crazy.
Wow.
They built them here in the garage and would test them out in the streets. And they would never race them. They'd have somebody else race for them. But we had a track here called Ascot Racetrack, which is no longer here anymore. They spent their days and nights there. And my grandmother would sneak in there because women weren't allowed
No kidding.
in the mechanic area back then, and she would dress like a guy and sneak in there so she could work on the cars too. So it's pretty cool to have that past. They built these race cars for people like Heath and Parnelli Jones and a few other people. So having that past history is pretty awesome. I'm trying to find one of the cars they built. Haven't had luck yet, but looking for one because they built about 20.
So we had Carson Lev in here on Monday to do a podcast. You know, he owns Redfin, marketing agency that I think he's responsible for Chip Foose and a few others. And he mentioned to me that Parnelli Jones is still with us. I don't know how his health is, but boy, he'd sure be an interesting guest because he's got such a diverse race background. I didn't know he was in midgets, but it makes sense. That's where a lot of race car drivers started back in the day. And yeah. I know he did Trans Am because I think he did Cougar. Go ahead.
I met him at a book signing, 4 or 5 years ago, and he had a stroke, and he wasn't all there, unfortunately.
I'm sorry.
So, well, maybe we won't be having him on, but he's one of the greats. He's up there with the Dan Gurneys and the Carroll Shelbys of the world, and just, you know, the influence and the breadth of their racing experience and car history that they impacted. Incredible guys. So, you know, is there somebody in particular that you either give credit to or blame for getting you involved in cars? Is it just kind of in the blood of the family and there was no choice?
I feel like almost everybody in my family is into cars in some way or another. I think my dad played a big part in me liking luxury and exotic cars. When he used to pick me up from my mother's house, because of course my parents were divorced, like many of our parents, he would point out all the exotic and luxury cars to me until after a while I started pointing them out. So I think that's where that started, is with my dad point them all out to me. So I'll blame him for the exotic car stuff for sure.
But it sounds like it almost became like a quiz, like, you know, and then you flipped the script and then you were showing off the cars, your knowledge.
Correct. And keep in mind, I didn't get into the car industry, the auto industry, until I was 27. I was a human resources director for a restaurant corporation. And I went to a car show, and that's honestly what hooked me. I went to a local exotic car show, and as soon as I went, I said, okay, I like this. And I kept going to more and more, and then joined that forum, luxuryforeplay.com, in 2007 or 8. And that's where it really started.
You said goodbye to HR and hello to cars?
Oh yeah, I was very happy. I mean, I was doing both jobs for 2 years.
Oh, were you?
Then then finally I had a really cool boss. He's like, you need to just leave and chase your passion.
I've heard that from so many of our guests. We heard the same thing from Carson Levy, who was in the middle of pursuing a biomedical degree, and a mentor, you know, when he was like 19 or 20, halfway through that degree, he says, what are you doing? You're an artist. You love cars. Pursue your passion. I'm a doctor. I've got that Ferrari Dino that you admire sitting in my garage, but I'm so busy as a doctor, I don't get a chance to enjoy it. You need to stop what you're doing and switch degrees. And sure enough, he did it. So isn't it great that people see better than what we see and give us great sage advice and help guide us in our career like that?
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it takes a lot of guts to leave a comfortable job and pursue being an entrepreneur. It's scary. It was definitely scary for me, but I will never go back to working for somebody ever again.
Yeah, I've done the same thing, and I'll tell you what, there is no going back, but it is a frightening experience. So I'm glad you shared that with us. So for those kids out there that are thinking about it, you know, it's good to have a little bit of fright and a little bit of hesitation, but the end is so worth it. It's incredible.
It's worth it, but it's a lot of hard work too. A lot of these kids nowadays think they can do this overnight, and that doesn't work that way. You have to bust your rear to make this happen. My friend Andy Frisella, who's the CEO of First Form, he does a lot of podcasts. I don't know if you've heard of him before.
I have.
Yeah, he's great at telling people, like, this didn't happen to me overnight. I had nothing, I worked my butt off to get here. So he's a great person to tell people, hey, this is not going to happen overnight. You got to bust your ass to make it happen.
Yeah, sacrifice, pain, and suffering is part of the fun, right? So I want to take a minute and just thank our sponsor, SeaTech. And for those of you that are looking for a smarter way to charge your car's battery, our friends at SeaTech lead the way in the care and maintenance of vehicle batteries. SeaTech's unparalleled knowledge and continuous investment in innovation means they offer high quality, reliable chargers that are effective, easy to use, and most importantly, safe for the user and their car's electric system. The quality of SeaTech's products make them the most trusted company of the world's most recognizable car brands, including Audi, Bentley, BMW, Corvette, Ford, Ferrari, Maserati, Mercedes, Porsche, and numerous others. Get yours today at smartercharger.com. So,
I actually have SeaTech chargers on my cars.
You do? Awesome. So what do you think? Great?
Yeah, no, they're great. I have whatever car, because we have so many cars. We have 2 cars in storage. So whatever cars are in storage, they're connected to the SeaTech chargers.
Awesome. We get so many responses from our guests about SeaTech. It's incredible, especially when we're talking about some of these quality cars. One of the things that we experience here is that battery failure can be really debilitating for our business because we've got cars that need to be moved and we're on a schedule. And it's when a Ferrari battery goes down, or let's say McLaren, it's not a lot of fun. So
No, not at all.
it doesn't matter. The cars are so sophisticated now. Well, that's great news. So tell us a little bit about these road shows. Okay, you just got back from one, but Gold Rush, the Fuel Run, Exotics on Broadway. How did you get involved in these? It's so cool. It's such an awesome lifestyle. I'm sure there's a downside, but it sounds terribly romantic to me because I'm a car guy and there's nothing better than a road trip.
I mean, there's not that many downsides. I'm not going to lie. It's again, it's hard work, but it's so much fun. Gold Rush Rally was created by the owners of luxury4play.com, which I was already working for.
Right.
One of the owners did Gumball 3000 in 2008 and said, hey, I want to do this, but I want everybody to be on the same page. I want everybody to be equal. I want to have my friends, and I want to have a good time. So in 2009, they started their first Gold Rush Rally. There was 35 cars. These were all people from the forum. So we had never all met in person. And all of a sudden you have all these people from the forum come and drive. It was 3 days. It was San Francisco, Beverly Hills, Las Vegas. And we all had a blast. And the 2 owners said, why don't we just turn this into a business and keep doing this? And I've been a part of it ever since. 12 years.
Wow.
And how many cars were on the last Gold Rush Rally, which I think you just finished up, right?
We just finished a couple days ago. Because of the pandemic, we dropped it down to 75 cars, which we sold out. And typically it's 1 car, 2 people, but we usually have 100 cars and 200 people. But I don't know how we pulled the rally off this year. The rally has been 9 days long for, I think, 5 or 6 years. We started increasing the days. It's 9 days long now. So trying to plan a 9-day rally during COVID has been quite the challenge, to say the least.
So was it mostly just accommodations, when you got somewhere, on making sure they were open and that there wasn't going to be any COVID restrictions that would prevent you from continuing on, or sleeping or getting gas, or what?
Keep in mind with COVID, everything changes every week. So we might have we had to change our starting hotel in Los Angeles 3 times. Beverly Wilshire, dropped us. They're like, we can't take this big of a group. Then we were supposed to go to Terranea in Palos Verdes. They couldn't handle feeding us dinner. So we switched to Ritz-Carlton and Laguna Beach because Orange County is red instead of purple right now on that little map. And it was way easier. But overall, through the 8 cities we've been through, we probably dealt with 15 to 20 cancellations and reschedules.
Well, love the Ritz.
It's been crazy.
Love the Ritz in Laguna Niguel. That's an incredible property. Not a bad way to go.
It really was. And we started there. We stayed at the Inn at Spanish Bay in Monterey, which is also an incredible hotel. Then we stayed at the Ritz-Carlton in Lake Tahoe, another amazing hotel. Vegas was interesting. We stayed at Encore, but Vegas is just weird right now. It's just weird. It's dead. It's empty. The casinos are empty.
They opened it up, didn't they?
But it's so quiet. You walk into the casino and your jaw drops because there's like 5 people gambling in there.
No kidding.
It's really weird. Yeah, it was interesting. So I'm thankful we did 01 off-road adventures. While we were there, we went off-roading on the Razors and had private dinners at 2 private locations because the casinos won't handle big groups. So it was an interesting 2 days, and we spent 2 days there. What we do is we have some people that can sign up for the full rally, 9 days.
Yep.
Some people will sign up for the first half for 5 days or second half for 5 days, because not everybody can go on the road for 9 days. We get that. But once we left Vegas, I mean, gosh, it was just so beautiful. Salt Lake City, Big Sky, Montana, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and Jackson, Wyoming. It's just so beautiful up there.
Just went to all the great spots in the West. It's like the best of the best as far as destination.
It really was. We bought everybody adventure passes because we went through 4 parks. You just show them the card and we got right through the Grand Tetons, Death Valley, and Yellowstone and Zion. We did 4 parks.
So what about the shenanigans? I mean, come on.
Let's face facts. You got all those nice cars, or each one of them probably was 500, 600, 700 horsepower. There must have been a few things that were entertaining, or can we share them with the public? Any stories that don't need to be edited out?
I mean, obviously the cars go fast and we stand out. So there was a lot of pullovers. But a lot of times, we're really respectful to the police. We know they're going through, pretty crappy times right now, getting treated pretty bad by a lot of the public. It's very frustrating. I have police in my family. So we're very respectful to them. So a lot of times they'll just give us a warning and to be safe. But it's been a very chill year this year. We don't usually get a lot of couples on this rally, and we had like 20 couples this year. It's just been a more relaxing year. So we really wasn't too many shenanigans because you can't hang out at the hotels. I keep these guys on the road all day long this year because when we get to the hotel, what are you going to do? You can't hang out. The bars are, and it's not just California, Wyoming, Montana, the bars are closed or restricted.
I forgot about that. Bars are closed. That is so weird to think about that in a hotel. It's like if you don't have a pool or a bar to go to in a hotel, you're like, well, what good's hotel? I could go get a motel. You know what I mean?
Correct. So we kept them on the road pretty much from morning until night. We had a lot of stops, and when you're in the national parks, it's open. So we don't all stop together all the time. I say, hey, check the Old Faithful out, or the Prismatic, the ponds, or different places to stop. And, 4 or 5 at a time will go enjoy the scenery. And it was absolutely beautiful. I mean, we saw all kinds of wildlife, buffalo, antelopes, elk, everything.
Oh, that's awesome.
So goldrushrally.com has quite a bit of information on it. Really anybody can sign up, but keep in mind it's a luxury rally. It's not cheap. We have a staff of 15 for that rally. There's luggage concierge that's free. All their parking's paid for, most of the meals. So it's a little bit higher, whereas the other ones that we have fuel run, those are smaller drives and they cost a lot less. There's Fuel Run Monterey, which we went ahead and did this year, even though Monterey Car Week was canceled. We still went for it. We dropped it down to 75 cars. We usually have 100, and we said, hey, we got to get out. Like, we can drive, driving is social distancing. So there's that one. And then we have Fuel Run Midnight Run coming up, where we leave Orange County at 8 o'clock at night to arrive in Vegas at midnight. Then we have Fuel Run Miami coming up. We had to move that. That was supposed to be in, I think, April, and we had to can't move that till next year.
Well, I might have to join you on that Fuel Run to Vegas. Now
That
The
sounds,
Vegas one's fun because every rally goes to Vegas in the daytime and you can't see the lights. And I'm like, we said, why don't we leave at night and get there at midnight, because Vegas is a city that never sleeps anyways,
right,
and enjoy the lights. So we regroup at Tobin Motor Cars. They have a great reception there with food and, cameras and music. And then we all go down the strip together to the hotel.
Oh man, sounds like fun. All right, I'm in. Just I'll go get some more information. I've got to do it.
Oh, it's a ton of fun. And Fuel Run has its own website too. That's fuelrun.com. That is a branch of Gold Rush, but that was just us wanting to drive during off season of Gold Rush.
And Fuel Run, you've got different destinations, right? I mean, it's.
Yeah, so Fuel Run Monterey
Okay.
is from Malibu to Monterey. And then Fuel Run Vegas is typically from Orange County, like Newport. I think we're starting at Karma Automotive. They've been a big part of everything we've been doing the past 2 years. Great people, Karma Automotive. We had a participant on Gold Rush that could not drive his car over here because of COVID, but he was allowed to fly. And they gave him a car to do the whole rally in.
no kidding.
Yeah, no, they're amazing. They're great. This guy had been saving his money for a long time to do Gold Rush, and he got a Gold Rush tattoo, which I think only 2 people have ever. And so
You're not the other one?
Karma gave him a car.
You're not the other one?
What's that?
You're not the other one that's got the tattoo?
Okay.
I'm scared to death of needles. I do not have a tattoo as of yet, but we are discussing that changing soon.
I see. Well, I'm a lot older than you are. I can't even lie. But I've been too chicken to do a tattoo, so don't feel bad. You're not alone.
Yeah, that's my one fear is needles. I do not like needles.
Well, you gotta
I
let
was
us.
very happy when the COVID test was swab the nose as opposed to needle in the skin.
Oh my gosh. So that's great. So, we got to encourage people to get out there in the future on the Fuel Run and on the Gold Rush. All those sound like a lot of fun. And, Amy's told you exactly how to find those. So don't miss out.
And then hopefully next year, Monterey Car Week will be back and we can have exotics on Broadway. And
Right.
that one I own part of that. There's 3 owners and I'm one of the owners of that event.
Great. We want to talk more about that. But first, we've got to say thank you to our other sponsor. And this podcast is also brought to you by SoCal Classic Car Storage. Our facilities here in the lovely city of Laguna Hills offer secure white glove vehicle storage and extensive concierge services. In addition to storage, our expert sales staff offers consignment services for those looking to sell their cars. For more information, visit us in Laguna Hills or find us at SoCalCarStorage.com or Facebook.com/SoCal Car Storage. So you mentioned this other Monterey property that you've been doing for some time, right? And that thing came out of nowhere. I think it started in 2015 or 16, I can't remember. And now I heard it's like one of the biggest events during Car Week. Of course, not this year, right? But how did that come about? Was it because you've been doing this Gold Rush rally for so long and Fuel Run? It's just like, hey, where is this as an integral part of Car Week? Maybe it was you were just going, it's obviously missing, right?
Well, what element was missing in Car Week, back in 2015? Modern exotic cars. They weren't prevalent back then. They were not the cool cars. And Monterey Car Week has been about classics, which is fine.
That's true.
But
Yep.
there was already a lot of modern exotic cars up there. And they said, hey, we want to be a part of something. So that was one of the elements. The second element is I noticed that the people who live up there were just pissed at Car Week. They hate people that come there for Car Week. They don't want us there. And
Is that right?
I said, what? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Are they non-car? Are they non-car people? Are these people that don't appreciate cars, or is it just in general people coming from somewhere else and ruining their town?
More the second part, and also them not being able to afford to partake in any of this stuff. They're like, hey, we live here. We can't afford to pay $200 an hour, $900 to go to Quail. So I said, hey, why don't we create a free show and invite the locals to come enjoy the show? Like, let them have an experience for Car Week and have the show be about them. So
Brilliant.
yeah, we actually Exotics on Cannery Row Commission had contacted us too, and I said, okay, well, let's do this. Let's make a show for the public on Cannery Row, and have the coolest hypercars of any show during Car Week, and it's going to be free. And we did the first year. What did we have the first year? 10 Pagani's or something. I don't know. We always have crazy hypercars, more than Quail. So it's great, but we did not expect that many people to come. It was nuts. I mean, the first year there was, I don't know, 30,000 people.
30,000. Wow.
I think it was 30, and it just kept getting bigger every year, and it got so big that Cannery Row couldn't handle us anymore. We didn't fit, so we needed a new home. And the Seaside, I think it's the mayor or somebody, I don't know, he's like, we'd be happy to have you guys. We never get any love here during Car Week. We would love to focus the show on Broadway because they had recently renovated it and have it there.
Well, so that answers that question. I'm like, what's the New York element of this? But it's the area of Monterey. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, so Seaside is kind of the lower part of, the county, I guess, but they treat us the best there. We have the best time there. There's enough room for us. We were planning on expanding 3 more blocks this year to make it even bigger. All the major car manufacturers, I mean, Ford brought cars, Sailing came, Koenigsegg, Pagani, they all come, because this is the opportunity for them to get all the social media in.
Yeah.
They're not getting social media from Quail or Concours, so it's not really there. Whereas our show is like 100 times the amount of social media in one show compared to all the other shows put together.
So with a lot of our guests and certainly our social media friends, if you will, if there's such a thing, there was just such a gasp as each one of these major car events, like Car Week, got canceled, like SEMA, throughout the course of the year. And you can see the anxiety and the depression that builds up as people, share pictures from last year and look forward to next year. But it's just it's a little disturbing when this is such an integral part of people's lives, because car people are just all in, and now that you're so involved in planning multiple car events, what was it like to have to shut this thing down just for a year?
Keep in mind, through Gear One Agency, we also have other clients, and we had to cancel 4 car shows through that, including Cars and Copters in Huntington Beach. I'm thankful. This teaches people why you need to save your money in case something like this happens. I'm thankful I had money saved, and I did get some help through the PPP program.
Great. Good to hear.
Disaster relief. Yeah, I mean, I took a huge hit. We took a huge hit. We lost 6, 7 events. I had like 4 or 5 clients just freak out about spending money on marketing and just back away, which I don't blame them. And unfortunately, a couple of them have gone under because of this. Right. Who's going to go get their car fixed when you're not driving them?
Right. Yeah.
And then they still have to pay the rent. So it was really, really tough and somewhat, depressing. And you got to find your own way to get through this. My boyfriend, Johnny Valencia, and I decided to start our own YouTube channel to keep us occupied. It's called Review Your Own Car. We decided to review our car because there's nothing to do. So we went in our garage, because you remember when you're supposed to stay home.
Yeah.
And reviewed one of our cars. And he said, why don't we make a YouTube channel and call it Review Your Own Car, and start asking other people, hey, go in your garage and review your car and send it to us.
Great idea.
So yeah, I think we have like 20 videos up. We have a bunch more to put up, but that is what we've done to keep ourselves occupied during this pandemic, especially like April and May. You remember it was tough then. Like you could not leave your house. You could only go to the grocery store. So we reviewed all 7 of our cars.
Well, we're going to check it out. Can other people contribute?
Yeah. So, I mean, people can just, there's an email on there. I can't remember what it is by heart, but it's on the Review Your Own Car YouTube page. And there's an Instagram page and a Facebook. And actually we started off just doing it on Instagram and Facebook too. And then we went, crap, we should turn this into a YouTube page. And we did. And it's been fun. It's been interesting to see people, you know, a lot of times people will have their family members help them do it, their daughter or their son or wife. It's been fun to watch how people are doing this because they have to do it from home.
Love it. Well, we're going to check out that because that sounds like a lot of fun. That sounds like something I could get behind. So, you know, SoCal car scene, you know, we're big advocates of women in the automotive arena. We've had a lot of great, successful women as guests on our show, you know, and we're just super excited about that. And here in SoCal, you know, it seems like they're everywhere. And but yet maybe one of our guests recently said, but that may not be true in every part of this country and certainly part of the world. What's been your experience? What's been the receptivity of you, Aimee, in the car world, running a business, managing multiple events, being, you know, pretty having a large presence out there?
I know that it's important being a woman in the automotive world that I have to, you know, have my voice heard. I've pretty much always been lucky and been treated, you know, fairly, but that's not always the case for everybody. And a lot of women and girls are scared to get into the automotive world and racing. They're scared because you kind of got to have a thick skin. You know what I mean? You see how guys talk to each other. So when a girl jumps in with car stuff, they're just going to talk to you like a dude. Like you're just it's just a conversation. A lot of times that can be scary for girls. And plus you have the addition of, you know, if a girl's on the attractive side, there's a lot of crap you have to deal with. You know, I'm older now, so I don't deal with a lot of stuff I dealt with before. But in the beginning, you just get the comments that you're just like, oh God, here we go again. You just got to get a thick skin though. You got to ignore it as much as you can. It's tough. I'm even on a YouTube channel, the comments mess everybody up in the head, not just girls. You know, I love poor Johnny Lieberman from Motor Trend. He gets bashed on there all the time, and he's such a great journalist. And sometimes, you know, he'll post up some of the comments on there, and I'm like, Jesus, I couldn't handle somebody talking to me like that. But you know, then when you have a girl like Miss Amelia, you know, she's cute, she knows her stuff. Some of the comments on her YouTube, I'm just like, ugh. So I mean, for me, I just want to let the girls know you can do this. You just got to have thick skin. You just got to move forward. Just be who you are. Don't expect extra attention because you're a girl. Just be equal. Just be who you are. I have a section on Facebook, a private group for women. It's called Miss Gearheads. There's probably about 500 women in there, and it's all race car drivers, motorcycle drivers, people who work in the industry, but it's all women.
Well, I really like what you said about telling women to think almost like a man, and you've got to get in there. You've got to have a thick skin, and to some extent, you have to have a little bit of man behavior in there where, you know, let's say that we're inclined to, you know, get in the gutter more or you know, be rough around the edges or pull no punches or whatever the colloquialism is. I think that the language of men is, you know, different than women, but I don't know that it's condescending necessarily, but it might be off-putting, right? When you first experience it.
It's just a different language.
Yeah, and it's hard. But, you know, like Martina Kwan started that driving school. She's got the DK driving school up there in Willow Springs with Dwayne DeMint, and she is tough as nails, but she's articulate, she's intelligent, she's an experienced race car driver. I mean, just people like that.
She's got a thick skin though too. Like she can handle herself. She's got a thick skin. I was just at Willow Springs or the streets of Willow, gosh, a month ago. I don't even know what date it is anymore. A month ago, and she came out there and instructed me on one lap.
She did. Okay, awesome.
Yeah. She just happened to be out there. It was my first time tracking my Miata. She was out there, and yeah, she instructed 2 other guys too. So,
Well, we appreciate that advice for other women. We want to encourage them to get involved, stay involved, and let them know, to reach out to people like yourself that if they need some encouragement, because there's a lot of women out there doing great things. So great. Tell us a little bit more about your marketing company, Gear One Agency. It's a full-blown marketing agency, right? Focused primarily on automotive. I know you told us about the events, and the events have been, obviously impacted by this COVID-19 madness, and hopefully we get it behind us soon. But tell us a little more about Gear One, if you don't mind.
So Gear One Agency, we're about to pass our 2nd year. There's 3 owners, myself, Ramina Rami, who also owns Gold Rush. We've been friends for 12 years, and Johnny Valencia, who was at Michelin for 17 years. So you have 3 kind of powerhouse owners that have a ton of experience behind them in the automotive world. And we want to focus on offering all different avenues of marketing: social media, influencer strategy, websites, event planning. We pretty much offer everything, but we do focus on automotive. And it's been great because we've been working with some really great clients so far, including ModFind, which is a really cool app that it's been out for about a year, where people buy and sell their car parts on. It's been really cool watching that app grow and being a part of the reason why it's growing.
Well, that's an example of if you don't get out there and you don't keep opening doors and you don't talk to people, you don't know what's going on. I had no idea that there was this app for car parts. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like some kind of an explosive phenomenon. Like, and now they're pretty large, right? And thanks much in part to your agency, correct?
Correct. We hit 25,000 downloads yesterday, which is great. It's just really, the app happened at the right time too, because of COVID. People are at home working on their project cars and listing their parts and buying parts. And so that app actually benefited from the pandemic. So yeah, it's great to watch it grow. We work with companies, done smaller projects with Toyota, and local shops, M Engineering, who tunes McLarens and Porsches. We also do their social media. It's been great, and we're looking forward to this pandemic being over so we can work on more stuff.
Yeah, right. So you heard about obviously SEMA being canceled, and then recently we saw the news that SEMA is doing something digital next month, I believe. Believe it or not, we're in October, which blows my mind. So sometime in November, they're going to be doing a digital SEMA. None of us know what that looks like. Is that something you guys are going to participate in or know anything about?
So this is going to show you that I'm real, and this is me being me. The virtual stuff is just, I don't know if you've noticed, it's not really taken off. Peterson, I love them. They did the virtual Monterey Car Week. It was a lot of work. We had to send all these videos in and do all this stuff, and nothing financial coming out of it, but it just didn't get the views I think that they were expecting. So I'm a little nervous about this whole virtual thing, and we do have clients that are involved, and the amount of work that they're having to put in to use this platform that SEMA is using is it's a lot of work. I hope it pays off.
I think it's, the same experience we have, in the digital space when we start, like this show, for example, or when you started your page. And for the first year or two, you're like, gosh, we're putting in all this work, and you're looking at the results and you're going, we got to stay the course, and you keep your head down. Or even when you start a business, you're like, come on, if I keep losing money, right? So, but I think over time, if we had to keep doing this, people would learn, okay, this is the way we got to do it. But it just shows that people are just kind of buying their time, waiting for face-to-face.
Exactly. That's why this is happening, because I pray every day that this isn't permanent. I think people don't want this to be permanent.
No, they
So
don't.
they're not really getting into it. They're like, maybe I'll watch it later, or I'll just wait till next year. That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, and hopefully, this COVID-19 just continues to tail off, and we can get back to car shows and bumping elbows and shaking hands, maybe, and hugs. I don't know. I mean,
Maybe
Yeah,
that.
I have no idea, but it's interesting when you go to other states. Like, I mean, Idaho's pretty much normal.
business as usual. Orange County's that way still. No, kidding. We are.
But still, like, you go to certain cities in Orange County and there's signs up that say if you're not wearing a mask, it's $100 fine.
Yeah.
But their numbers are down, their numbers are down. So they're orange. They're red. They're not purple. We went to Mammoth on the rally and they're orange. So you could eat inside there.
Oh, good
It
old.
was 50% capacity. Yeah. Was it Mono County? I think it's orange. So it was interesting to see. Monterey is like more strict than LA.
Wow. Well, I'm looking forward to orange. Maybe that'll be a good sign that it'll be cars as usual.
Yeah. I'm a fan of, we just kind of hang out in Orange County right now.
So how do you, one of the things you talked a lot about these car events, and I'm just fascinated. We have had the pleasure of having the principals that are involved in something called the Quarantine Cruise down here in Huntington Beach that has only done 8 of these shows. And the last one I was at was last Sunday, and they've got 2,500 cars. And they start in one city, and then they wound up typically in Huntington Beach at another location. And just explosive growth. But I'm always intrigued by, the people that want to start these, because there's so much commitment, and it's almost like, what if you decide to tap out? What if you decide you want to exit? I mean, and then they're phenomenally, successful. So what do you do? How do you hand them off? Or can you imagine shutting something down that people love so much, like this great car show up in Monterey, like the exotic car show? I mean, isn't it frightening that you've started something? It almost feels like you can't stop it.
Yeah. I mean, there is a possibility that we might not have big events with big gatherings anymore. We don't know. So yeah, it's frightening, and you just have to adapt. You have to adapt. I mean, I had to accept that big paycheck that I get from that show is not coming.
Right.
Gold Rush Rally, we decided not to cancel it. We took a chance and moved it to September. It was a gamble. Thank God it worked.
I'm glad you did.
Yeah, we lucked out with that one, but there's a possibility there might not be Monterey Car Week anymore. We don't know that. So if that's the case, we'll try and move our show somewhere else that's not so strict. If that's the case, or if not, it is what it is. I'm all about some virtual stuff, but I just, I think it needs to be just done differently. I don't know. Just the way a lot of the people are doing the virtual stuff, it doesn't make me want to watch it. I'd rather watch a YouTube channel or listen to a podcast.
Yay. Well, hopefully this one. So I we feel the same way about virtual. It's, it's better than nothing, but it doesn't substitute for face-to-face. And we think about SEMA, we think about a car show that we have here that we love, Cruising for a Cure. In September, we'd be at that show with Debbie Baker, and all the proceeds go to prostate cancer. We love that charity, of course. And, it's 3,000 or 4,000 cars driving around the fairgrounds and 10,000 people that are all car geeked out. There's really no substitute for that. I don't know if it's the smells, the noise, just the car.
It's all of that. I mean, I'm not going to get my fix from that. I'm not going to get my fix from a virtual car show.
Not going to happen.
I would rather have everybody put their phone in their car, flip it around and turn it on, and everybody drive. Then I'll watch that. That's something I'd watch or be a part of.
Can I just say, I'm going to give a thumbs way up for the Armory Green on that Audi R8 of yours. I absolutely love that new color on that car of yours.
What a great choice. What's been the reaction?
Everybody loves it. That is Tech Army Green. We were going to go with a bright color, and I said, you know what? I just kind of want something more stealthy, more subtle, something that blends in with the trees because we're driving all through nature. And we went for it, and it turned out great. I powder coated my Vorsteiner wheels bronze, and then we did the matte gold stickers for Gold Rush Rally in the car. It looks great. And you know, that car held up 3,400 miles, no issues. I think my low brake pad warning light came on like 100 miles before the finish line.
I do love the fact that you guys put graphics on everybody's cars during the rally. That is so darn cool. I've never seen that before on anything else other than that, and I'm thinking, wow, it really does a great job of branding, but it's kind of like puts you into a community, and people are like, what is that? What's going on there? You know, like.
Yeah, no, it's great, but it's funny though, over the years, you see people with those crazy wraps, and that has nothing to do with us. That's them going and doing these crazy things. Like there was a Burger King Mercedes, there's all kinds of crazy stuff. Somebody did a Kobe Bryant tribute on their Rolls Royce Cullinan.
Right, of course.
And that's on them. I mean, these people are paying, if they're doing the full rally, it's $19,000. These people are paying like $10,000-$15,000 for some of those wraps. So
yeah, we just got a brand new C8 in here. The guy dropped 10 grand. It's 10 grand.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? So that's awesome. So tell us about a couple more cars in your stable before we wrap. You mentioned a Toyota Corolla, and I think you also have a Mazda, if I'm not mistaken. So tell us about those other cars hanging out in your garage.
Correct. So, and the R8, by the way, I'm just about to hit 50,000 miles on it. I drive the heck out of it. The Mazda Miata is a 2002 Mazda Miata special edition. We looked for about a year and a half to find a stock Mazda because we bought the car for me to learn how to work on it myself. That is something, unfortunately, my family never did teach me, but Johnny Valence, my boyfriend, he's taken the patience and time to teach me how to, you know, change my brakes, change the oil, you know, we've done all kinds of stuff to that car. And we bought it to track as well. So I just had my first track event. It was a private track event at Streets of Willow. It's such a great car.
Is that the one where Martina helped you out a little bit on? Okay, cool.
Yeah. It's just a great car to learn to race on. You know, it's great. It's a slow car, and it's better to learn to race in a slow car than it is to have a car that's way too fast.
So that's a great story. The Mazda Miata scene is alive and well in Orange County and SoCal. Tell us about this Toyota Corolla hatchback. That takes me back to my youth, if you can imagine that.
Well, and that's part of the reason that we bought it. Johnny was more into the JDM scene. When he was a teenager, he had a Honda CRX that he had. I don't know if you remember, but like people put big speaker systems in there and did all that stuff. So I said, why don't we needed a new daily. Why don't we get the new Toyota Corolla hatchback and maybe just do a couple things to it, So we bought this, I think it's Blue Flame Corolla, and the mod bug hit. Like we just started getting everything from Tom's Racing that they were making for the car through Apexi in Orange County. Right. I mean, we got the wheels, we got the side runners, we got the exhaust system, everything's on. We've done everything to the car. We even have the little visors that go over the side windows. We lowered it. So it's a lower daily car, but this car gets more attention than all of our other cars. We get compliments from everybody on it. We did a review your own car with that car, and that video has, I think, 15 to 20,000 views.
Wow.
Whereas the other ones have way, way less. So that car's hot.
Yeah, I think what it tells you is that the SoCal car scene in general, people have seen almost everything, and you can't impress them with something brand new or performance or, you know, the hypercar or even the supercar. But if you show up with something they haven't seen ever or haven't seen for a while, you got their attention, and I think that Toyota does it. So Aimee, how
How do folks get in touch with you as, as the Petrol Girl out on social media, or learn more about your business like Gear One and all the great stuff you got going there? There's got to be a number of ways for folks to reach out.
The best way to get a hold of me directly is on my Instagram. I'm on there all the time, at Petrol Girl. Gear1agency.com has its own website. All the other ones have their own websites, but the best way to get a hold of me is through my Instagram. I'm on there all the time.
I noticed that, and your posts are awesome. Your videos are great. The places you go, the cars you're hanging with, leaves me salivating. I'm like, wow, that is just, great content. And so I think back to your original point, folks need to get out there and engage with you. That's great.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's been a great ride, and no pun intended. I'm thankful for the people that I've got to meet in this car world, especially those guys who own those crazy car collections. They've been very generous to me.
Well, thank you so much, Aimee. That was a great cruise, stealing that line from you. But for those of you watching us today, I don't want you to don't forget that all of our episodes are out on YouTube channel, the SoCal Car Scene. Remember, all separate words, where you can see videos of our incredible guests like Aimee. Please watch, follow, and most importantly, subscribe so that you never miss an episode. If you prefer to listen to these episodes, please go to all your favorite podcast platforms. We're out there on Apple, iTunes, Stitcher, Buzzsprout, Google Play, and the SoCal Car Storage /media page. That's it for us today. Again, I'm your host, Dean Marash. I don't want to say a big shout out and thank you to our technical director and producer, Jay Marash. He's awesome. And thanks again for listening and watching. Happy driving.